Welcome to the Wrestling Soul Code Podcast. This is Cam. That's Mark.
How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all joining in.
So we're going to talk about the 1995 Hardcore Heaven from ECW. This took place on July 1st from the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was one of the first pay-per-views that ECW put on.
I believe it was the first one, according also to the WWE Network. So, yeah, I'll say that.
It's definitely apparent. There's a lot of weird editing things that they did. Now, this is from the WWE Network version. I don't have the real version or the tape version of this pay-per-view. There's a lot to unpack here. So the first pay-per-view, wow. The first match was the Dudleys, which was Snot Dudley and Dudley Dudley. Yeah, say that 5 times fast. With Big Dick Dudley versus the Pitbulls 1 and 2, and then you had Raven, Stevie Richards, and Beulah on the outside. One of the Pitbulls, I don't remember which number it was, but one of them looked like a Rhino. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw Rhino around there too. Some of that match I was a little confused on a little bit on this thing.
You're telling me.
Yeah, as I'm not alone on that one, huh?
No, there a lot of things that are good about how Paul Heyman approaches things. However, he tends to just make things happen for the reason of just happening. Just like the whole fight outside that they had. It made no sense. And then you have Raven. Obviously, if you look at Raven and Stevie Richards, you can tell Stevie Richards is supposed to be a copy of Raven, just with a short shirt.
Yeah.
Either way, the Dudleys won. It was a pretty much, I hate to say this, let's say it like this, but this was a pretty much of a throwaway match.
Yeah.
The only lasting thread throughout the whole pay-per-view is things around the referee, and now I'm blanking on his name completely.
Oh, the referee said?
Yeah, the referee, the one that had a lot of interaction with in matches. God, what was his name? He's a famous ECW referee.
Oh, Bill Alfonso?
Alfonso. That's
yeah.
the thread that they really had going throughout this whole pay-per-view, including this match.
Bill Alfonso, he was in it for, I think, till the end, I think. But he was in it for a long time. He was the most popular referee. But, he was a crazy guy.
Right. So we're going to get to that. This match, do you want to rate this match? Do you want to rate any of these matches?
Oh, yeah. We're going to treat it like we do the rest of the reviews. Honestly, I was generous to give it a 5. I'm
4.
Yeah, I said generous. Yeah, it's it just. I mean, first off, I'll be honest with everybody out there. I know Cam's in the same spot. I did not watch ECW back in '95. I didn't really hear. I didn't know about ECW in '95. I didn't know anything about it until I think it was '96. I think it was the day you were so-called invaded, or Vince let him in, so to speak, inside WWE. I think it's '96. And I just and so I decided I got numb a little bit by that. But it's the first try, I would say, pay-per-view. So I guess the first time's the toughest one, obviously. But yeah, it was still, it was there. It's ECW. I gave it a 5. Like I said, it was there. Some of it I wasn't, up to date on things. I didn't know what everybody was, but it was there. Not really a whole lot to say on this one, on the that match, but it was, it was interesting to see Richards in there kiss it up on Francine, what her name is, or I seen Beulah and then I seen Beulah. She came over there and stopped it. So they're the one I couldn't figure out. But
right, okay.
Like I said, some of these people I'm not totally aware of. I forgot their names, but it was all right.
I did watch ECW later on. And it was after Raven left WCW and went to ECW that I followed it there.
I started watching it probably more permanent. I'd say, 98 thing. Oh, not permanent like I was every week, but when they started getting more on TNN, I found out about that. That's when I started paying more attention to it. So for a while it was all right, but yeah.
So the next one, which I barely remember this one, it was a tag team match. Dino Sendoff and Don Allen versus Chad Austin and the Broad Street Bully. This is a tag team match. Another one of those.
Yeah.
Again, there weren't. I couldn't make much notes on this because there wasn't really much of a match. Yeah. I mean, you had 911 interrupted the match and chokeslammed everyone involved. Mm. So, I mean, what do you rate basically a non-match?
I was the G word again, generous. There's something in that match. It's been probably 5 days since I launched this, but I gave it 5.3. There's something that probably is him coming in interfering and made it a little more exciting, but it was.
Yeah, that was really the only thing that made it interesting is the fact that they had the interruption.
Yeah, I think that's why I gave it the 3.3 points more, but it was there. I wasn't aware of the of those wrestlers, so if somebody does know about them, is looking at me or they're thinking themselves like, "Wow," I'm like, "Sorry, I didn't know who these guys were."
Right. Yeah. See, I have mixed feelings about the rating this one. Like I said, 911 made it a little bit more interesting by chokeslamming everyone. But in terms of the match, I honestly I'm down at a 3. There wasn't really much there.
Yeah.
And I just realized, yes, Francine was involved in the other match.
That's
who she fought. I don't know what triggered this memory for me, but now I remembered so I'm like, I know it wasn't Luna because it wasn't Woman because they were both involved later on. Like, yeah, it must have been Francine.
Oh, yeah.
Either case, so we have Hack Myers took on Big Mally. Again, I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but these matches.
Wait! The big what?
Is it Molly or Mally?
I thought it was named Big Val.
There was definitely an M on the screen. So
what is called the big what's called the big guy? I guess.
Yeah, we call him Big Guy. Hack Myers basically won this one.
Yeah.
But again, like,
I thought the big guy won it.
No.
I mean, I fell asleep. Sorry, that sounds rude.
So what ended up happening is basically the big guy was just beating him down, went for an elbow drop. Myers rolled out of the way, pinned him, and then basically got decimated for his win anyway. Big guy was not happy. How would you want to rate this one?
Being that happened, I gave it a 3.
3?
Yeah.
This is the first one you and I agree on.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first one we agree on the rating on.
Yeah, I couldn't go above 3.
I don't blame you. I barely got to 3.
I was tipping to 2. Yeah, I was kind of titter-totting on what that was going to be. But yeah,
the only thing that brought it up for me is the fact that they did a win that you wouldn't necessarily see, where the missing elbow drop and Gibbs pin. So you barely ever saw that.
Yeah.
Then we had Taz, which I feel like it's weird making this comment on the other retro review. Taz had hair. Okay, I'm sorry. The first time I ever saw him in WWE, I don't remember him having hair. I remember him being bald. So when I see this guy with hair, I'm like, is that the same Taz? And they zoomed in on his face. I'm like, it's the same Taz.
Well, he had hair in WWE. He had that little mohawk, like a Beverly Hills. barely. It was just like a small moment.
Yeah, I remember which one with the time frame you're talking about.
Yeah, but it was good to see him on there. He was he's younger, but he had more aggression in his impact his impact moves. Sorry, I'm coughing, dealing with allergies, y'all. Sorry, but he still had a good move set. You see where he's obviously younger, moved around differently, had more aggression in his style, but he had Too Cold Scorpio. I've always been a fan. Obviously, not obviously, I should say that, but I definitely knew more as Flash Funk. I was a big fan of Flash Funk and WWF. Action figure and just all, man, he was cool. I liked his moves and everything, his personality, his gimmick. Too Cold Scorpio was cool too. I get that match at 6. That was cool.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you with this one. This was a good showing. It emphasized Taz's power and being able to toss people around. So even though Too Cold Scorpio technically won the match, I definitely dug at the way that they did it. They made it to where they showed Taz as a beast that he was. This was a good setup. This is what I was talking about, the thread. So Bill Alfonso basically restarted the match after Tazplex Too Cold Scorpio and pinned him, but I guess he touched the rope. And this is basically Bill Alfonso exerting power. Basically, Paul Heyman said that he would kick Bill Alfonso's ass, and that didn't end up being the case, obviously.
Yeah.
Then they did this promo where they talk about Shane Douglas leaving ECW and going to WWE, which I'm kind of surprised that they did that. I mean, that's the best way to kind of write him off of TV that Paul Heyman has, and I wish there was a little bit more honesty in wrestling. But
sorry to interrupt, but back then ECW had they had more honesty in their programming, honestly, than any other company had, at least in the United States. I'll say that.
Right.
I mean, yes, WCW, they had honesty, at times. They brung up things, obviously, as we all know, during their big run back in going into the later 90s, of course, mid to late 90s, I should say. But ECW, they were pretty honest, open with things, and they could afford to be. Was it going to affect them? They were so honest that when somebody got injured, they would be up and honest with it, and they would even show later on. They would show like replays and show people how they got injured. So I thought that was pretty cool from their standpoint. And they didn't have what you would call boundaries. They didn't have a whole lot to lose, so they were going to mention people they could do it. So it was, that was what they had, their personality wise.
Yeah, this is different to see than to actually talk about WWF and the fact of where he was going and things like that. And honestly, it would be kind of nice to see that more often. But the way WWE acts is like no one else exists, just them. So
exactly, yep, that's true.
So next, Raven and Stevie Richards defended the World Tag Team Championship against Tommy Dreamer and Luna Vachon. This was just a kind of like a back stage brawl. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Raven and Richards did win, but there was basically a towards the end of the match, Luna did a superplex to Richards. At that point, Beulah threw powder in Luna's face, allowing Richards to pin him and keep the title. The Pitbulls basically came, and Raven actually offered them to nail a super bomb to Vachon, which honestly the Pitbulls refused. And at that point, Raven and Richards basically threw the pie at their face and hitting them with the chairs. At that point, Pitbulls retaliated and attacked Raven and Richards, and basically turned